This is Mason. It's 11 o'clock in the morning in Syracuse, and we're live in the 315. Here's Brian Higgins.
We weren't supposed to be here today. Sup? It's only going to be one Brian with a Y. It's only going to be one Brian with a Y. Brian with a Y Blair, not hiring, it would appear, Brian with a Y Hodgson. The news that landed in our laps around about 15, 16 hours ago. Last night, welcome in. An emergency. What in the hell happened with Brian Hodgson edition of Live in the 315, where we explore what actually happened. Hint, we don't actually know. And then, who's next has never been more prominent than now, because next will not be Brian Hodgson. Like, this is a should we leap off the edge, or am I going to talk you off the ledge show? Because last night, holy man, woo, dog, you guys were, like, out of pocket. Pockets, like, you were so far out of pocket, you cut the pockets out. The pockets were gone. You, like, the future of Syracuse basketball was not just grim, it was obliterated and gone forever. So we'll get into all of it. We will. This will be mostly speculation because, again, what do we actually know as fact right now? Not a whole lot. What do we actually know as fact right now? Not a whole lot. Why did that information come out last night? I don't know. That still doesn't make a lot of sense to me, the why it came out last night, how it came out. We'll explore that and what it might mean, and then we'll see where else it goes. But lots to get into today. Let's launch into it with a special bonus edition of our Thompson Road Tavern opening menu here on a WEC Wednesday. Yes, sir. Beef on WEC. Thompson Road Tavern. It's an $8 WEC. You can WEC it up for $8 at the Thompson Road Tavern today for the WEC Wednesday. So get out there for their lunch special. What's on the menu here for this program? I almost said what's on tap. That was a different. That used to be at the old place. Yeah, that was a different thing. This is our menu. What do we got? We're going to talk about Brian Hodgson. Then I guess we'll be done talking about Brian Hodgson forever. We'll talk about Jerry, like obvious. That is the next obvious thing to talk about. And then we'll try to figure out what else and who else to talk about, if not Hodgson, if not Jerry, as, like, realistically, if not Jerry, we're getting into the, okay, do you have something interesting up your sleeve, or where are we at right now kind of moment? So here we go. It's going to be, it's still a wildly interesting circumstance. Link pin top of the chat, of course, if you'd like to toss in your 2 cents, 5 cents, 10 cents. If you'd like to toss in actual cents, the $sign next to the chat box is available to become a member of the channel for reasonable monthly prices, or highlight your message, or whatever you're going to do. So lots of things to get into today. And again, link pin top of the chat if you would like to join the show. We're just kind of, we're freewheeling it here today. This is an emergency. This is an emergency gathering. Like, I got a few things on my mind, but we can take this any which way you guys want to go here on this Wednesday morning, because this is an emergency situation. An emergency situation. But yes, yeah, to Jordan's point in the chat, like, Hodgson has been a name here that has been a hot name in small circles for a minute. Like I'd say starting midway through last season, that when the initial part of the fan base that was like, done with Red, get him out, Hodgson was a name that was, landing in my ear from Syracuse fans. We'll put it that way, from fans. Back in the day. You're a Sienna season ticket holder? Shout out to Jordan, Sienna season ticket holder. So it's bizarre what happened to me last night. So let's go back in time. We're sitting there minding our own business. When was it? About 7 o'clock last night, give or take. Does this tweet show the exact time? It came 7:22. Jeff Goodman, 7:22. At Goodman Hoops. Breaking. all capital letters, colon, normal colon. South Florida head coach Brian Hodgson has turned down the Syracuse job, source told at the Field of 68. Now, let's explore that first sentence. Who is Jeff Goodman's source? I don't know this for sure, and yet I'm absolutely certain that his source is Brian Hodgson's agent, or from their agency. Now, who is Brian Hodgson's agent? My goodness, we did some research on that last night. We didn't get anywhere on that. We looked and we looked, and man, you cannot find a list of college basketball agents and who they're with to save your life. But there's like 4 or 5 main agencies. I have word that a lot of the Syracuse candidates share the same agent. So does Jerry and Hodgson have the same agent? I don't know, but agents play a very, very weird role in this of kingmaking and how it all goes. Elsewhere from Goodman's tweet last night, it's likely that Hodgson will decide between Providence and staying with the Bulls, who have put together a lucrative financial package similar to what Josh Schertz received at St. Louis in an attempt to get him to stay in Tampa. Do we know what Josh Schertz received? Josh Schertz, new contract. Just randomly, Schertz and Hodgson are both in Buffalo for the tournament. Go figure. Let's see. Does this article about Schertz have anything resembling money in the article? No. Does any of them? Oh, here we are. 5 days ago, Schertz agreed to a 6-year, $22 million contract extension. So a 6-year, $22 million contract extension to stay at St. Louis. It's a little bit more than $3.5 million a year on average. USF, they're in the American. They were in the Big East there for a minute. It's a massive school. Like it's one of the largest commuter schools in the country. Like USF, UCF, down there it's like they're 2 of the 5 largest public schools via enrollment in the country, something like that. Don't quote me. But something like that. So they I don't know if they have one big donor that's gonna foot a check like that, but they have a ton of people going to school there. All right, so that was Jeff Goodman. Jeff Goodman's follow-up tweet. Now it says he turned down the Syracuse job. The implication there to turn it down is that he was offered it. That said, does it say anywhere that he was offered the job? It does not. Do we know that he was offered the job? No, we don't. I find that a very important clarification right now. Jeff, follow that up. Now that Brian Hodgson is out of the mix for the Syracuse opening, I would expect new AD, Brian with a Y, Blair, to focus on Siena coach and former Cuse guard Jerry McNamara, who is taking the Saints to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2010. Jerry will be playing tomorrow against Duke, 230, 250, something like that. And do stay tuned. I have created the 315 with Brian Higgins. That's this whole operation. Bracket challenges for the men's and women's tournaments on ESPN.com. So search for that. I'll share the links later. And we're going to, tomorrow on the regularly scheduled program, I will fill out my brackets live and enter them in the challenges. And here's what we're just spitballing here. I think what we'll do is the person that has the most combined points from both the men's and the women's bracket will win an exciting prize. What will that prize be? It will be exciting. No further questions. So I'll get the links out to you later on, and we'll get into that. So that was stated. And then Jeff Goodman after that says this: Syracuse's resources clearly not where they need to be. If they want to compete for a top 5 or 6 spots in the ACC, they will need to improve their financial package for the next head coach. The implication being there that Hodgson pulled out because he wasn't being offered enough money. Do we know that for sure? We do not know that for sure. Wildbird's Unlimited gift card? Maybe, Jordan. What it might actually be, I'm not promising this yet. We're working him up. It could be a 315 with Brian Higgins shirt. You might get yourself a shirt, and then you could rep the brand. Yeah, Mike Waters has confirmed it. Out of all the reporting now, the one thing that I'm not disputing, I believe the part that Brian Hodgson is not going to be Syracuse's next head coach. That I will take as a fact right now. I believe the part that he is not going to be Syracuse's next head coach. What baffles me from last night, is the why and the timing of it all. There might be gear, Matt NY. There might be gear. We're working on it. The timing of this all is baffling because, all right, from all of the stuff that is out there, is that Hodgson's options in some order were Syracuse, Providence, and staying at USF. Syracuse, Providence, and staying at USF. So, I'm not a negotiation specialist here, but it would seem to help your fiscal negotiations situation to keep all of those balls in the air. So why would Brian Hodgson's agent make it known last night that he was out on the Cuse job? Why? To what benefit is that information being out there helping Brian Hodgson's case for either a raise from USF, the Providence job, or, in theory, squeezing more money out of Syracuse? I don't understand why taking an option off the publicly off the negotiating table helps him. That's where, as I said last night, I like to say on the show, I say it all the time, very often 1 + 1 = 2. Most of the time, the obvious thing is the thing that happened. Yeah, I'm not a huge Goodman guy, Kid Navy, but he is very plugged in with agents. So here's the thing with Goodman, and I've chatted with Jeff before. He's definitely not. I don't think he and Boeheim saw eye to eye. He's not a huge Syracuse guy. But whatever, he's very plugged in with agents. I believe his reporting of it that Brian Hodgson is out on the Syracuse job. This is not about Goodman. This is about, okay, why did Brian Hodgson's agent put this out there last night? And for the life of me, I can't figure it out. Everybody's immediate conclusion is that Syracuse offered him a job for not enough money. Maybe, but why? Why would he have put that out there last night? To what benefit is that of Brian Hodgson? If you know that in your back pocket you got at minimum a raise from USF or potentially the Providence job, I do not understand what putting this out there last night does to help, other than dirtying up Syracuse for no reason. Now, reasons you would put this out there. Reasons you would put, and maybe there have been, I know they have been having conversations, conversations are being had, official interviews or whatnot, I don't know. Conversations are being had already behind the scenes with coaches and their agents and the whole thing. Conversations are being had between whomever at Syracuse and these people. So to assume that nothing has happened yet just because we haven't heard that it's happened, that's also incorrect. So why would this information be out there last night? Does Brian Hodgson know that he wasn't going to get the job? Or that it wasn't a slam dunk that he was going to get the job? Sometimes in these situations, you pull yourself out of a thing that you knew you weren't going to get to avoid not getting it, right? Now Brian Hodgson isn't going to not get selected as Syracuse's next head coach. Now Brian Hodgson has pulled his name out of the running to be Syracuse's next head coach. And we all think it's a Syracuse thing. Again, I don't know what's true here, but that makes a lot more sense to me than how it was portrayed last night. Now, how it was portrayed last night could be true. I don't know. The way it came out last night makes zero sense to me. It doesn't make sense. Now, for all of you panicking about Syracuse's place in the basketball world, all right, now, I will say this. If Syracuse wanted Brian Hodgson, if Brian Hodgson was their number one guy, and they lost out to Providence, that's bad. I agree that's bad. If Syracuse wanted Brian Hodgson, and Hodgson, who in his first year at USF, in Florida, all that thing, I think he's got a young kid, whatever. If he decided, hey, I just started here, I want to stay here, that doesn't bother me as much. If he's leaving that job and has picked Providence over Syracuse, that is a massive issue. Everybody has jumped to the conclusion that this is what happened. We do not know that is what happened. We do not know. That is what happened. Yeah, that's the thing. The Providence job, it is decent, but I think it's also getting way overportrayed to what it is. Like, all right, yeah, like you have the advantage of not having to spend money on football, but at the same time, like, you're Providence. You're Providence. Providence's last Final Four was 1987. When they lost to who? Syracuse. Who was their head coach at the time? Rick Pitino. It's been a minute. It's been a minute for Providence at the time. People think Syracuse hasn't been close. Look at Providence. Like, to assume that Providence will magically shoot back to the top because of Brian Hodgson. Let's slow down. Like, even when Ed Cooley had it going there a little bit, like, what did they ever actually really accomplish? Like, they were good, but, like, let's slow down just a little bit here. You're going for Rick Brunson? Yeah, Rick is technically from Syracuse. I think he lived in Syracuse till he was, like, 6 or something like that. Not very long, but, yeah, technically, he is from Syracuse. So it just the order of operations and the way it comes out is weird. There's a rumor of Hodgson to Tennessee. Yeah, but even then, okay, then why? Like, maybe that's why you pull out. Like, that would be a job. Like, Syracuse can't compete with SEC money and what they have going on. Like, I don't know. And then there's the other side of the coin, Kid Navy. Here's what I really would love to know. So Brian with a Y Blair, not Brian with a Y Hodgson. He comes in. Like, we all knew this was going to happen. We start putting together lists. And then, while we all have the lists, and we all heard these names out there before Brian Blair got hired, of Jerry, of Hodgson, of Schertz, of the Merrimack head coach, of Hop, like the standard group of names that we've been talking about for a while. Go check out the Who's Next playlist if you want to know any of the names we've talked about. We'll pick up that series with another name tomorrow. But, like, if you are Brian Blair, new AD, you got to show up to this party with something new, right? Not that I'm saying that that's who is going to get hired. Yeah, San Diego Q's. The timing yesterday made absolutely no sense. I don't disagree with what happened, but the timing yesterday made no sense at all. No, Dan, I don't know that. I was presuming that it would happen, like, around now, but now we're to the point, and then NCAA tournament coming up, maybe it's not until next week. I'm not really sure when Brian Blair's going to talk. UConn assistant fellow Furter. We've already done one of them in Who's Next, and we may do the other one tomorrow. A teaser, fellow Furter. A teaser for you. So, who could Brian Blair be bringing to the party that Syracuse might not have been looking at before then, based on context, history, whatever? Or could something come about just like Brian Blair got hired? Did you know who Brian Blair was a week ago? I didn't. Like, I didn't. So I'm going to toss out two names right now. Do I think either of these people will be the next Syracuse head coach? I don't. Hey, should I play the Who's Next open just so we can officially launch into this conversation? I think we do. We need good grooves. We need it today. Like, we need good vibes. We need it.
Mason here. It's time to continue our search for the next Syracuse basketball head coach. With today's candidate, here's Brian.
All right. We're going into it, you know, we just needed a vibe today. Like, everyone was, oh my goodness. Last night, go look at my Twitter mentions last night. Go look at some of the stuff you guys sent last night. Woo! People were not in a good headspace last night. Somebody was demanding this show, like, immediately last night. I'm like, I was literally putting children into bed. Like, I can't start a show right now. Like, we just don't run to the bed. That's like, oh, we're on! No, that's not how we do things around here. But we put it together. Emergency pod. Yeah, it's Brian Blair's fault. Like, has the guy even been in Syracuse yet? I don't even know. Like, has he even been in Syracuse yet? So many great questions. Coming up. Now, it could be a terrible look for Blair. Like, nothing's happened yet. One thing has not happened. The only thing that we've had one thing not happen. Brian Hodgson has not been hired as the next Syracuse head coach. Nothing's happened yet. We can't judge the guy until they hire a coach. So we gotta wait till we play out the music here. on who's next. Like, the optics were not great last night, but it's the why. We don't know the why, and the why is bothering me. So let's look at this. Ooh, it's who's next. It's a shadowy figure, because we don't know who's next right now, and I just wanted to show you the mysterious shadow of who's next. So there is that. We're talking about who's next. These are two names. Like, I just spent the last little bit going through Brian Blair's resume, his CV, if you will. Yeah, he's still at Toledo, yes, Christian Burns, but clearly he's working at, like, he's got feet in both pools at the moment. So do you look at the MAC? John Gross. I'm not a big John Gross guy at Akron. He had a shot at the big time at Illinois already, and it really did not go well. Travis Steele, yeah, he had a shot at Xavier. Didn't go well. It obviously went much better this year. Shockingly, Miami has to play tonight in the first four after going 31-0 to start the season before losing to Frank Martin and UMass in the conference tournament. How about Frank Martin? Frank Martin, who shockingly has only been to one tournament in like the last decade plus. He was going on the regular at Kansas State, then he ended up at South Carolina, had one great year, and then he hasn't been since, and that was a decade ago. Why do I bring up the name Frank Martin? Because Brian Blair was working at South Carolina when Frank Martin was at South Carolina. Do I think Frank Martin will be the next head coach? Do I think Frank Martin should be the next head coach? No, but I'm trying to look for ties of people, connections that Brian Blair has that he's bringing to the party. Frank Martin's a guy. It's a hard pass for me, but he's a guy. Here's one. This is a name that I have not seen out there at all, but it's vaguely intriguing, albeit unlikely. His name is Kyle Smith. Who's Kyle Smith, you might ask? Because that's a pretty generic name. His middle name is Andrew. That's just 3 generic names in a row. He's the current head coach of Stanford. So another thing we've talked about, right, is that could Syracuse go after a sitting power head coach? And then it's like, all right, but who and how and why? Why do I bring up Stanford's head coach, Kyle Smith, who was born in El Paso, Texas, and currently coaches in the Bay Area? Because his previous job before Stanford was Washington State for 5 years, where he did very well. Who was working at Washington State at the time when Kyle Smith was there? Brian, with a Y, Blair. Before that, San Francisco. And this little nugget I did not know until today. Double nugget. Before that, because it looks like, oh, he's born in Texas, entirely West Coast coaching career. Not so fast, my friend. His first head coaching job was an Ivy League job in New York City at Columbia. And where did Kyle Smith go to college? Hamilton. Hamilton, which is in New York. Now, have I heard anything about Kyle Smith? No, this is not saying he's in the mix, but I'm saying, okay, if Syracuse were to go after a sitting power level head coach, for what reason and what are the ties? Like, people keep up bringing TJ Otzelberger. I get it. He's doing fantastic. I don't understand, other than a big, gigantic pile of money, why TJ Otzelberger will leave what he's got going on at Ohio State. TJ Oats, how do you even spell Otzelberger? It's just a lot of letters. TJ Otzelberger contract. Yeah, I would like to correct it. Yeah, what's his, no, not contacts, contract. Forgot an R. Track. All right, he's making $4 million a year. So is Syracuse really going to go over the top and outbid on that? Now I can see like an SEC school or whatever going over the top, or a Big Ten school going over the top and overbidding on it. But like a year ago, he got a contract extension through 2032. So that significantly raised his salary. So that just doesn't make sense. So Kyle Smith, all right, there's more than zero tie there to Kyle Smith. And I do like this line in his Wikipedia. Where is it? His coaching style has been dubbed nerdball, in which they use analytics to track and make decisions on many aspects of the team. And somewhere in here, somebody called him the smartest. Oh, here it is. Chris Mooney, the Richmond head coach, called him, quote, the smartest man in college basketball. I think he has the best feel and overview of basketball programs and coaching of anyone I've ever met. He has a master's degree in educational leadership from the University of San Diego. All right, like, that's interesting to me. Now, he just wrapped up his second year at Stanford. They barely missed the tournament, lost to Pittsburgh in the ACC tournament in the game before Syracuse bowed out. But, like, talking about, all right, who's totally off the board? Find me somebody that is totally off the board. That's totally off the board. That's totally off the board. I'll go even more off the board. Like, this ain't going to happen. But this would interest me. This would interest me. I mentioned South Carolina, where Brian with the Y Blair worked, and Frank Martin was the men's basketball head coach. Well, Frank Martin, the men's basketball head coach of South Carolina, made one piddling tournament during his time in Columbia. There's a different basketball coach in South Carolina. Yes, Kyle Smith. That was the tie, San Diego Q's. That's how we got there, San Diego Q's. Yes. The women's basketball head coach at South Carolina, Dawn Staley. Oh, like, you talk about out-of-the-box, big swing. You need deep pockets. Dawn getting paid now. Dawn's making $4 million a year to coach women's hoops at South Carolina. Dawn is she's something, man. She's absolutely nuts. She's a fantastic personality. She is an utmost motivator. She's not necessarily a tactician, but she's also, like, shortlist one of the best women's basketball players of all time. Of all time, she's fantastic. She, if you want a vague tie to Syracuse, her college backcourt mate at the University of Virginia in the early 90s, in which they went to 3 consecutive Final Fours, is former Syracuse women's basketball assistant coach Tammy Reese, who has made the tournament in her own right at Rhode Island this year for the first time as a head coach there. So, and Dawn was in the mix more than none for the New York Knicks job in this past offseason. Like, the New York Knicks, like, actually conversed her, and Dawn has said, hey, if I had been offered the job, I would have accepted it. So you talk about a woman coaching a men's program. Like, there was a lot of talk back in the day, and she sadly passed, but, like, there was legitimate thoughts at Tennessee of making Pat Summitt their men's basketball head coach at one point, and Pat declined the opportunity for a variety of reasons. I think Dawn sticks with women's basketball, but she's a great coach. She's an unbelievable program builder, because South Carolina was literally nothing ever before she got there. One of the best players of all time. She does have Northeast experience. Before South Carolina, she was the head coach at Temple for a long time. And the reason I bring her up is because Brian Blair was working at South Carolina when Dawn was getting that thing up and running. So he's seen her up close and personal. So I'm just trying to, stick some pins in the wall of what connections are out there. That's interesting. It's not a clown take, Jordan. 18 to 20-year-old dudes would love Dawn Staley. I guarantee you, she's great. You talk about how Fran Brown meets the players on their level. Dawn Staley meets the players on their level. She gets it. She gets it. Now, do I think she's going to get the job? No, but I'm just, all right, coming up with connections here. What other, oh my goodness, I wouldn't have a shot, Ellie Orange. I wouldn't have a shot in hell. I wouldn't have a shot in hell. Dawn is a trip, man. Dawn is crazy. Yeah, there's a reason other programs haven't done this, but at the same time, if you're Syracuse, right, outside the box might be a good place to be right now. Like, outside the box might be a good place to be right now. Again, do I think Syracuse could they afford Dawn Staley? I don't know if they could. You'd probably have to pay her at least $5 million a year to get her to think about it. But you staff it up real nice, and like, I think something like that could work. I think something like that could work. I think it would be a fascinating experiment. No, I don't think it's going to happen. So I would just trying to come up with any connections between Brian Blair and anybody. And that's what we got. He was at Rice for a while. There was nobody at Rice that I found interesting. Yeah, but this is what we got. Is Hodgson officially off the borders of just agent speak? I think he's officially off the board. Like, yes, T-Takes, it was agent speak, but that felt past just negotiating agent speak. She can try Lemoyne first. She won't, Jordan. She's making Dawn Staley is making $4 million a year to coach women's basketball right now. Like, she's good. She doesn't have to try anything just for the hell of it. Like Dawn's good. This isn't a classroom. Dude, come on. Dawn Staley's one of the best and toughest basketball players of all time. She played on like, how many Olympics did she play at? Like, her knees, she played until her knees stopped working. Like, she's fantastic. She's won, 3 national championships as a head coach? Like, she knows basketball, can coach basketball, and, like, she has the personality that would draw respect from college-age men's basketball players of all but just morons. Like, and then, like, if you don't respect her, then you wouldn't want them on the team anyway. Like, I don't think she'll be here, but I think it would be fascinating. It would be a fascinating experiment. And I'll tell you this, you want to put Syracuse basketball back on the damn map? Boom. Mapped. Like, that would be on the map. Yeah, the Knicks legitimately interviewed her. Like, she was actually in the mix. FLJ? Yeah, I wouldn't go FLJ. Like, if I'm going to go, like, I think, like, my list of head coaches in women's basketball, like, it would be, if you were going to go that route, it would be Dawn, and that would be the end of the list. Like, it's a list of one. Like, I think Gino Auriemma is a great coach, but he's, like, 74 right now. But, like, the list is Dawn, and that's it. So, trying to make connections, and the only reason I come up with her, this is not just hot take throwing something out, the only reason I come up with her at all is because Brian Blair worked at South Carolina with Dawn Staley. And that's it. Like, I got no other logical connections for Brian Blair. The other question is that he already said it would be a man. I'm sure he wasn't being... Why would he have said that? Like, I will hire a man. Yeah, that's just what you say, man. Like, come on with the pronouns. It has been said that, Weeze. Yeah, and here, like, to the point here, fella Ferda. All right, let's explore other things that have happened. New chancellor in. He's got to be observing the situation. Let's go. Yeah, Rosie Perez, white man can't shut. We can get Woody and Wesley in here as well. Just do the whole thing. So let's say what people assumed happened last night is what happened. That Brian Hodgson backed away because there's not enough money. Could be the case. Obviously, there hasn't been enough money around here. I know nobody wanted to hear Red complaining about it at the end. Set aside the NIL. Just look at his staff. They did not have as many people. He had 3 assistants instead of 5 assistants once they raised the rules. Like, you didn't have associate this and extra that. Like, do extra bodies do it? Does that win you games? I don't know, but like it just showed that Syracuse did not have the program financially staked where it needs to be. So Mike Haney takes over. Syracuse as an institution, if they wanted to spend more money on the basketball program, I'm not saying within the current athletic department budget, but I'm saying Syracuse University as an institution. If the institution of Syracuse University wanted to raise the basketball budget and add more funds, they have the money and fiscal wherewithal to do that. So, now, within the sitting athletic department budget, they might not. But within the university budget, they might. Does Mike Haney value it enough in the way that, like, one of his, because literally he's not even technically the chancellor yet, like, would one of his first acts as chancellor being made sure that they have enough money to do this right, knowing how important this is for the future of athletics, and he's very much in athletics as the front porch of the university guy. Like, would he, as the university, choose to juice up the athletic department budget specifically to make this a more attractive job for men's basketball? So, I don't know. But these are the things you start thinking about. because stuff like that, like let's say last night happened as a lot of people have jumped to conclusions and assumed it did. Let's say Brian Hodgson turned down the job because he wasn't offered enough money or wasn't offered enough money for staff or NIL or whatever. Okay. Then, and let's say John Wildhack, Brian Blair, whatever, looks at the situation like we do not have more money in our athletic department budget. Like we can't, in our current budget, get more money. Well, who can add more money to the athletic department budget? Like the university has money. If they want to say, let's put our money over here, they can put their money over there. So that would be fascinating to see if any of that happens. Like, and now Jerry. Now we get back to Jerry. And not White. I'm just so sick of Weitzman. But, all right, like if I'm Jerry right now. If I'm Jerry right now. Like, I would want a lot of things in writing. Like, I wouldn't just auto-agree to be the head coach right now if I'm Jerry. Like, Jerry he was here when it all is sliding. Like, he's aware of what happened. He's aware of what he did the last 2 years at Siena. And he's also aware, as much as he loves Syracuse, that as long as he continues to have success at Siena, and I have no reason to expect he wouldn't, that he'd be able to get a job at some point in the next handful of years. Yeah, out with the basket weavers. You won't find another product, Randy. It's too entertaining for us to talk about. As long as you still come here and talk about it, you can watch whatever you want. So, if I'm Jerry, and realistically any head coach, but like specifically Jerry, because, all right, let's say they didn't get Brian Hodgson last night because of money, and now they just assume, well, we got Jerry in our back pocket, it's fine. He'll do it for that. If I'm Jerry, like, I need to make sure that I'm getting the 5 assistant coaches, that I'm getting the GM, that I'm getting maybe an assistant GM, that I'm getting an analytics guy, that I'm getting this, that I'm getting that, and that we are going to make sure that we have money for NIL to win games. Like, I keep saying, like, Jerry, for the love of God, Jerry, don't take the BC job because that is a career ender. Man, if I'm Jerry, like, don't come here if they're not going to set you up to have a chance to succeed. Like, don't come, like I'll say this to Jerry, don't come here if you know that they have not made enough changes for what led to Red's failure, besides Red. Like, yes, Red led to it, but there was external factors which led to it. If I'm Jerry, I need as many of those external factors fixed before I come back. Dollars for coaches or players? Yeah, well, you got to make sure you got dollars for all of it. Like, and it's less than dollars for the head coach. It's dollars to fill out your staff. It's dollars for all of those things. I don't know, like, Jerry's a real name. He's in the mix for other jobs. Jerry just won a conference championship. Like, Jerry has shown that he can coach. But then, like, okay, somebody mentioned Shaheen Holloway earlier. Do you look at a Shaheen Holloway? He's at his alma mater. He's in the Big East at Seton Hall. Can you trump Seton Hall? A name like Shaka Smart has just been bouncing around randomly. I think Shaka's happy at Marquette or whatever, but that would be interesting. Like, you talk about if Syracuse went and got an interesting head coach, Shaka Smart will fire up the fan base. Shaka Smart will fire it up. $30K and a few Drex subs. There you go. We'll get you an old Jim Boeheim Drex sub cutout as well. We'll get you that. We'll toss that in, LA Orange, just to round out the deal. So I think it's fascinating how this is going. And last night's news, I told you this month was going to be the most interesting and important month without games involved in the history of Syracuse basketball. And my goodness, it is not disappointed yet. And based on what happened last night, like, now the entire fan base is standing on the ledge. Some of you left off already. But the entire fan base is on the ledge. The amount of things like, well, they didn't get Hodgson. It's all gone to hell. Jerry can't be Jerry. I'll tell you this. If they had hired Brian Hodgson and Brian Hodgson got off to a slow start, all y'all would have been like, why'd they hire this guy? And then the same people, if they hired Jerry and Jerry got off to a great start, all y'all, see, I told you, it should have been Jerry this whole time. It's all based on the results. It's all based on the results. It's sports. This is a results-based business. The wins and losses, they matter. They matter. So, yeah, that's how it gets graded. That's how it gets graded. If Jerry comes here and wins, everyone will love it. Jerry comes here and loses, it'll be freaking the worst thing of all time. Oh, that'll be so sad. That'll be so sad. So sad. It is a Weck Wednesday, Weeze. New AD pressure tomorrow. Where are you seeing that, San Diego Cuse? Is that in my email? Let me check my email. That's not that email. Do I have an email? Where do you see this, San Diego? Why do I have no email? Has it been announced? Let's research this live. Will it be at 11? That would be great timing if it's at 11. What do you got? What are we looking at? Where do we see it? Where do we see it? GMAC and Hop equals DePaul. I think GMAC would have a chance of succeeding here if he was properly resourced. I just don't think at this point there is an obvious choice. If you told me, like, gun to my head right now, who's going to be the next head coach? Jerry. Like, it just feels like it's Jerry right now. That said, a week ago, we didn't know who Brian Blair was. Look at the last two major hires that have happened in Syracuse athletics. We didn't know who Brian Blair was right before we got hired, and Fran Brown dropped out of the clear blue sky. Like, it's entirely possible. We've been doing who's next for literally a month and a half at this point. And we've talked, 14 people? I brought up like 4 more people today. It's entirely possible that we haven't mentioned the next head coach yet. It's entirely possible that this thing drops completely out of left field. 10 a.m., you believe? You got sources on it? I need to send out some text then, if that's going to be the case. I'll say this right now. If assuming it's streamed somewhere, we can also bring it to you. If the press conference is at 10 a.m. tomorrow, live at the 315, will be bumped up. We'll be bumped up an hour to correspond with that. We'll be bumped up an hour. Like, if that's at a time like that tomorrow, we'll carry it live and we'll do the whole thing up. We'll work our way through it, and we'll do the whole thing. Simir Torrance. There we go. Tibbs at the college level? Yeah, like NBA, somebody mentioned Rick Brunson. An NBA assistant coach name I read in some article today, which would be somewhat interesting, I suppose, is one of the Celtics assistants, Sam Cassell. He's a Florida State guy. Obviously, he played a lot. I mean, he had a comically long NBA career. A lot of the most memorable early days were the 2 championships he had in Houston with Olajuwon. But played a long time. He's like a hot name out there. Like, if you're going to go get an NBA assistant, like Florida State just went and got Luke Laux. They picked Luke Laux over Sam Cassell, another former Florida State guy. Like, that's a name out there. That's a name out there. So, yeah, Tibbs at the college level. You can grind the college players into dust. They only got 4 years. Who cares if their knees don't work at the end? Oh, man. We had Rip Hamilton when he played for Tibbs in Chicago. He came to Sportscaster U, the NBA program we had going on about a decade ago, and Rip's telling stories. He's like, man, he was a veteran at that point, UConn guy, but I mean, he was deep in his career. He's like, these Tibbs, it was just the guys sitting around shooting the ball. He's like, these practices are killing me. Like, poor Rip was getting grounded to dust. Julius Hodge, for seriously, San Diego Cuse? Julius Hodge is a college head coach. 23 years later, 24 years later, Julius Hodge has come around and picked Syracuse. What's Julius Hodge up to? Is Julius Hodge really a college head coach? Or are you messing with me? Are you messing with me? He's coaching at Lincoln in Pennsylvania. What's Lincoln? Is that like a D2? Man, Julius Hodge had a long career playing all over hell and gone. Lincoln, Pennsylvania. The Lincoln Lions. Didn't Syracuse play them in the exhibition game sometime recently? They're a D2 team in Pennsylvania. Shout out to the Lincoln Lions. We're going to look up, we're at Lincoln Lions basketball. Screw it, we're going in. We're going in. Lincoln Lions basketball. Shaheen Holloway, if you told me they were going to go get Shaheen, I'd like that hire. He's got personality. He's been a winner. You'd have to pry him away from his alma mater. which would be interesting. What's up with the Lincoln Lions? How's Julius Hodge doing as a Division II college coach? It'll be hilarious to hire him. Ooh, they went 10-20 this year. That's going to be a tough hire. Hiring a 10-20 Division II college head coach. Yeah, that's going to be a hire. Shaka would be intriguing if just to ask him this: why'd you shave your head all those years when you had that gorgeous head of hair? Who's coaching the Washington Generals? Man, I forget who they announced as their head coach when I was at that Globies game back in January. Definitely had a name. It was a real person. I didn't notice a lot of tactics. And they really allowed the Globies to get away with a lot of shenanigans. Like, there was a lot of shenanigans. Yeah, what evidence are we basing that on, Locked and Loaded? No evidence. I'm not basing it that it will happen. I'm hoping that it will happen. I don't know that it will happen. But I'm saying, like, if I'm Mike Haney right now and you're serious about athletics being good under your watch, like, you can't just be like, I'm serious about it. You got to be serious about it. Like, you got to be, you have to actually put the money out there. So will it happen? I don't know. But yeah, a candidate who thrives on institution, it's like, who just thrives on chaos. Yeah, what? Who would most thrive on chaos out there? Is there just a chaotic coach? What thrives on chaos? The answer is probably Mike Hopkins. Hops all over the damn place. Hops all over the damn place. Hop loves chaos. There we go. Ted Valentine. Yeah, Ted quietly retired. Did you all realize he retired after last season? I saw an article midway through the season. I'm like, I haven't seen TV Teddy. TV Teddy's out the game. I don't know if TV Teddy can do the Globies. They're not on TV. It would be a very weird retirement gig. He'd have to be not TV Teddy, just Arena Teddy. You get to talk a lot though. The ref, they have one ref, and he doesn't do a lot of running, but he has a mic, so he talks the whole time. Yeah, the Chancellor and AD change, in theory, shows the commitment to athletics, Kid Navy. But the real thing that shows commitment is money. Scott Drew's a fantastic coach. Phil Jackson, yeah, Phil's free. Scott Drew's a fantastic coach. Like, if Scott Drew was randomly available, people should just start firing their coach right now to hire that guy. Phil would mean Mello and Cayenne are out. Yeah, they didn't. That was a little oil and water situation, was it not? I want to do this here. We'll keep the conversation going. All right, so I've started tourney challenges on ESPN for both the men's and women's basketball tournament. Here is the link to the men's basketball tournament challenge. Here is the link to the women's basketball tournament challenge. They're both listed. They're public groups. Anyone can join. They're both listed as the 315W/Brian Higgins. That's the 315 with Brian Higgins. You know where you're at. Come join them. Pick both the men's and the women's tournament. We'll come up with an exciting prize. Perhaps 315 with Brian Higgins merch. Maybe a shirt. Maybe a candle. I don't know. We'll come up with something for the person that has the highest combined points in both the men's and women's basketball challenge. Combined points in both the men's and women's basketball challenge. Tomorrow, here live in the 315. Apparently, we may be starting early with a press conference. Rumors of a presser. I once we're done here, I need to look into it. Once we're done here. Yeah, is the next Todd Golden out there? I don't know. I know who's not out there. Todd Golden. He's doing pretty good at Florida. We mentioned one of his assistants at some point who definitely had a name that I've since forgotten what his name is. I think he wasn't an official Who's Next, but we glanced at his assistants at one point. Hodgson could be the doorman at he does look like a Marvel superhero villain. Like, it's I agree with you on that. Buddy Waklinski? I mean, he's right here. What are we getting Buddy for? What are we getting CBA's AD for? Is anyone, thank you, kid. Is anyone playing CBA in football this year? Anyone see that story this morning? Yikes. The whole Class AA local football teams are like, yeah, we're not dealing with your crap anymore. CBA. That was kind of wild. So yeah, so here's the plan. He looks like Zangief from Street Fighter. He does. He does. Yeah, the fan base T takes, like last night, what happened is this news came out from Jeff Goodman, and the first thing a significant portion of the fan base did was freak the F out. Just absolutely freak out. We don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. This whole show has been about not knowing what happened. But everybody lost their ever-loving mind last night. Like, everybody lost their, oh my goodness, without Brian Hodgson, the world will collapse. Like, there are other basketball coaches out there. They're going to hire somebody. They still need to hire a really good somebody. They need to turn the program around, like, now. Like, they need to turn the program around now. Very important to turn the program around now. But Brian Hodgson, while he may have been a good answer to the question, he's not the only answer to the question. So just because that's not the box that got checked, they still desperately need to answer the question correctly. Desperately need to answer the question correctly. And at this point, like, I'd been saying for the last month, few weeks anyway, that I'm not overly sold on who the next head coach is going to be, but, you know, gun to the head, if you told me to place a bet on one, I'd bet it will be Brian Hodgson. Well, now it's not. So I'll say the same thing today. If gun to the head, I have to pick somebody, bet, and this is not me picking who I think should be. I could go either way on a lot of these people. If you told me today, asked me to tell you today who the next head coach of Syracuse basketball is, I'll tell you it's going to be Jerry McNamara. But based on what's happened here in the last week with AD and all this and whatever, I am not remotely 100% certain of that. Like, I'm not remotely certain that that's what's going to happen. Like, I tell you, Jerry's the favorite now. It's the thing that makes the most sense as we sit here today. There's a lot of logic that goes along with it, but it could go, who knows? Like, if you told me that a name gets hired within the next week that we really haven't discussed all that much, either at all or just a little bit, I wouldn't be shocked at all based on Buddy played at Albany? Oh, I didn't know that. I just know Buddy is the AD at CBA. Like, if you tell me a name that an off-the-board name gets hired, if you tell me by, like, Wednesday that Syracuse has hired a totally off-the-board name, I'll say, okay, yeah, that fits the profile. That's what they just did with athletic director, and it's what they did with Fran Brown. Maybe, go figure, maybe Syracuse has just gotten really good at keeping this stuff quiet. I don't know. Like, Brian Hodgson's agent went out of his way to leak this information out there last night. Like, if I know one thing, I know where that information came from last night. It didn't come from Syracuse. That was coming from Brian Hodgson's agent. So, we'll see. I have no idea. I have less. It felt like a week ago, right, that Jerry or Brian or Jerry. So, we'll see. We'll see. I think it'll be, I'd say the hiring of Brian Blair does make, I mean, obviously there are fiscal limits on it, but it changed the whole scope of the operation. You hired somebody from out of left, like, I think it's a good, well, we'll see if it's a good hire. I like who Brian Blair is on paper. Brian Blair on paper is exactly the type of AD I thought Syracuse should hire, and I find that good because a lot of the early names on the various lists were not fitting the qualifications that Brian Blair fits, who's been around, who's been a sitting athletic director, who's done it during times of NIL, who's worked at major schools. Like, Brian Blair checks a lot of boxes. And yes, Jen, the Vera House logo will be along on the bottom of the screen shortly. Fran Brown is the honorary chairman of the White Ribbon Breakfast coming up on April 8th, and Vera House is a proud partner here of the 315, and we're proud to partner with them for their White Ribbon campaign coming up. I've got a link, like, of the many links I have up somewhere. We've got a link to Vera House. Where'd it go? White Ribbon campaign. We'll toss the link in the chat. Donate your hard-earned money to the Vera House. Here's the link. Here's the link to the Vera House and the White Ribbon campaign. We'll be talking a lot of that coming up. Yeah, fella Ferda, I haven't done my bracket yet. And again, tomorrow on the show, Do stay tuned. Be nimble. Again, if you haven't subscribed, a lot more people here than normal this hour because there's a lot going on. Hit the subscribe button. Turn the notifications on. The swirling thing, will there be a presser tomorrow? If there's a 10 a.m. presser tomorrow involving the new athletic director, we will go earlier tomorrow. If there's not, we'll go at 11. Either way, at some point, I will fill out my men's bracket live and my women's bracket live. And yes, I was going to pick USF to win some games, and most likely now, absolutely screw that. Louisville going in the first round. Louisville. There we go. So we'll do that live tomorrow. The links are up there for the bracket challenge. Join that. Obviously, you need to get your men's one in by noonish tomorrow. The women's tournament starts on Friday. The Syracuse women play Saturday at 5:30. At the moment, again, like a lot of balls in the air this week. At the moment, I'm currently thinking that more likely yes than no today for a post-game show for the women's game against Audie Crooks and Iowa State, not TJ Otzelberger and Iowa State on Friday. Is Bill Fenley still their head coach? That guy was super nice. Syracuse blew out Iowa State in the first round in stores in women's basketball back in 2017. The Iowa State head coach, Bill Fenley, I think he's still there. He was such a nice guy. Just a nice guy. I mean, is there a presser? It hasn't been I have not gotten an email about it. San Diego Q seems to have inside information. San Diego Q is hinting at a 10 a.m. presser tomorrow. He seems to have inside information. I'd love some outside information. When we're done here, I'm going to send some texty text out into the world and see if I can't find some information on that for my own self. And if there is a 10 a.m. press conference tomorrow, and I can also co-bring it to you here, we will do that. The AD is probably wherever the next head coach is playing the tournament. Could be, Jen. Could be. So we'll figure it out. If the press conference is too early, then we got to get the kids on the bus and the whole thing. But we'll make it happen. 10 would be a lovely time. We can do 10. We can make 10 happen. I don't think. Let's check the calendar. 10 o'clock tomorrow. Do I have anything weird tomorrow morning before live in the 315 currently scheduled for 11? No, I don't. We can do 10. So do stay tuned for that. Notifications on, social media on. 8 o'clock show tonight. Is that what you're asking, Kev? No TPS report tonight. I will be this evening. I need to attend the dress rehearsal for a 4-year-old's dance recital. So I'm on Viv to dance recital, dress rehearsal duty ahead of the recital coming up on Friday. So the TPS report with me and Jordan will be tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock, in which who knows what we'll be talking about by then, and tournament games will be on, so we can sort of do that as well. Again, shout out to all our sponsors. The Most is on the screen. We were at the Most on Sunday. Go get yourself a Weck. Little beef on Weck Wednesdays, $8 at the Thompson Road Tavern. Support the Vera House and their White Ribbon campaign coming up in April. Link just went by in the chat. Do join our brackets. Join the brackets. I put the men's bracket challenge in there, the women's bracket challenge in there. Just set them up literally. I started the stream, and then I set up the bracket challenge this morning. That's we're freewheeling it here. Again, if you have the most combined points from our men's and women's bracket challenges, we will have exciting gifts and prizes that we will determine at some point. No money will change hands, but we will come up with some exciting gifts and prizes for that. So with all of that, our emergency session of live in the 315 draws to a conclusion. A regular session, as scheduled currently, will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Do stay tuned in case there are press conference things and stuff we need to talk about and whatever, because everything. Like, what do they say with every MMA and whatever? Card is subject to change. Schedule is subject to change. Schedule is subject to change. With that, we will second Weeze's motion to close. There we are. Our emergency Brian Hodgson will not be the head coach of Syracuse basketball edition of Live in the 315 has concluded. Feel free to continue with your day. If something crazy happens, we will lose our minds again on social media, and then we'll reconvene again to do this tomorrow morning. Thanks all. Have a good day.
Thanks for watching the 315 with Brian Higgins. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn your notifications on. We'll see you next time.